Welcome to Jackson, Wyoming. My name is Matt with We're in the Rockies. My wife Cheryl is behind the camera. In this video, what we want to do is take you on a little walking tour of the town of Jackson, Wyoming. I know a lot of you are very interested in Jackson. It's kind of this cool Old West town. And we're going to go around and try to find some things that we think are interesting to us to give you a little feel and flavor of the town. So behind me here is the Elk Arch. There's actually 4 of these elk arches on the corner of this really cute little town square. Town square here is actually called George Washington Memorial Park, but nobody ever calls it that. It's just the town square. But it is a really nice little cute spot, shaded, a lot of trees. You can just come here and hang out and really just enjoy the vibe of the town. But it's really common, of course, to get your picture taken here at the Elk Arches. That's like the first stop, the first thing you need to do in Jackson. And behind me over here is the Cowboy Bar. This is a really famous bar in Jackson. Now, Cheryl and I don't drink, but I went in that bar and it is really cool inside. So let's go inside right now. Check out some of the naughty wood decor here. The bar has taxidermy like this cool angry bear. And I love these fancy chaps. This bar was established in 1937 and has been an iconic symbol of Jackson ever since. They do square dancing once or twice a week, as well as host live musicians regularly. Famous artists like Waylon Jennings, Tanya Tucker, and Willie Nelson have performed here. The barstool saddles are fun, though I can't imagine they'd be that comfortable to sit in all night. Back in the saddle again. Wait, are you on the wagon or off the wagon?
I don't know. Something kind of fun about Jackson is there's statues everywhere. Now this is actually a gallery. These people sell these, but these are all over town and it's kind of fun to see the art and how creative people are. And sitting here with Albert Einstein, the great mind right here. We've actually seen some cool statues of Albert Einstein along the way. There's a huge one in Washington, D.C. And then we saw another one this year. Where was it at, Matt?
Vail.
In Vail. So yeah, Albert's making his appearance in several cities.
Across the street behind me here, there's a big moose on the wall, and so there's a lot of public art in and around Jackson. So they actually change it out every year. Like they have a pretty big emphasis on art around here. And so this one's kind of been around for quite a while. I think this is kind of an iconic one. But anyway, they have a little map online of where all the public art is that you can kind of walk around and check out. And then just outside of Jackson, outside of town, is the Mama Mimi Troll.
Thomas Dambo is the artist behind these trolls, and he's actually built, I mean, I would think 100 or more of them. And what he does is he'll get contracted by cities and they'll want him to come build these trolls. And these are actually meant to be like to only last 10 years or so. It's just crazy, but they're made out of these just recycled wood, and he makes their faces himself. But then community volunteers come together and they help assemble the whole thing, and he'll put it together in a matter of days and then he'll come out to a new city and build another one. But it's Thomas Dambo. He has a website and you can see pictures of all the trolls he's made, and I would love to see more of these trolls. They're so cute. Something so fun about Mama Mimi is you actually have to climb on her. Like usually you see art and you don't even dare touch it, but there are steps on her and a rock next to her. So the intention is you have to climb on her to see her, because otherwise there's a little pond of water you have to walk across.
I'm a little concerned you're starting to fall in love with these trolls.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I want to see more.
This morning we were walking by here. This is a bakery called Persephone, and there was a huge line out the door here for this place. So people like to come here and get coffee and get a baked good or something like that in the morning. And so we stopped by here this afternoon and got this cool s'mores looking thing. The big place to get coffee here in Jackson is the Cowboy Coffee. Now, Cheryl and I don't drink coffee, so I have nothing to add to this space other than just that we saw a ton of people walking around this morning, early in the morning, with their Cowboy Coffee.
And it smells good.
I don't like the smell of coffee, so.
But I do, and I like it.
Okay.
Behind me is Moo's Ice Cream, and this is my favorite spot to get a treat in Jackson. They have a lot of different kinds of ice cream, and usually there's a big line out the door, but it's like 4 in the afternoon and it's almost October, so that's why there's no one here. But this is a great place to eat. I had a magic raspberry filled donut for breakfast this morning, and so I'm not really in the moose mode, but normally this is a great spot to eat.
One of the popular things to do for a lot of people visiting Jackson is to get a cowboy hat. So this is kind of a, pre-made hat that Cheryl bought online, but this place right here will do custom made hats. So it's bellicose, but Burns Hats is actually the ones that are in the store making the hats. And which one do you like better?
Oh, I don't know. I really like your first hat. That one's looking pretty good too.
Multiple colors, different styles. He can shape them in any.
What's kind of cool, she said that they are making all the hats for the Yellowstone crew, like Kevin Costner and the Yellowstone TV show. They've made all the hats and the belt buckles for that crew, which is pretty dang cool. Burns Hats from Utah. So anyway, you can go in there and like pick out a hat and they'll shape it any way you want it. There's all sorts of different colors.
Something that I kind of enjoy doing in Jackson is looking at the weird souvenirs, and this Five and Dime has a lot of them. They've got like all sorts of pithy jokes on Wyoming. A lot of times you can find some t-shirts that might be a little off color, but not so much that you kind of chuckle at them, they're funny. So sometimes it's just kind of fun to peek in these windows, see what kind of crazy souvenirs they have. I rarely buy anything, but I still think it's fun. So behind me is the Jackson Mercantile, and I've decided skip the visitor centers if you want to see taxidermy. I've never seen taxidermy like there is in there. Raccoons, chipmunks, all sorts of things.
The raccoons are freaking awesome.
No, I'm not saying they are awesome.
But what were they doing?
They're paddling a canoe. In fact, on the other side, there was a beaver helping out. So, it's kind of worth a fun thing. And they have a lot of Huckleberry merchandise, which I can totally get behind.
I think this is the only store that I like so far. It's awesome. Okay, look at this really cool building behind me here. This is the Jackson Hole Playhouse. Cheryl and I walked by this several times over the years. And finally, last night, we went to a play here, and it was awesome. Did not disappoint. They actually serve dinner before the show if you want to do that, and then you go over here to watch the show. But inside that little theater is really cute, really well done, and smells amazing. And what's cool is this building is like one of the oldest buildings in Jackson. It used to be a stable at one point, and anyway, it is just a darling building to come walk by. If you're walking around the town, you need to come check it out, but take in a play because it is really good. Okay, up next is the Wort Hotel. Behind me here is this staple, this kind of legendary place in Jackson. And what's cool about the Wort Hotel is that the outside is done in an English style, which is unusual for the town of Jackson. As you've seen, it's all kind of a Western thing. But once you go inside, it goes back to the Western motif, and there are some really beautiful artwork and taxidermy in there. There's a huge buffalo head, massive moose with a huge rack above the fireplace, just incredibly beautiful decor in there, beautiful staircase. It's really nice inside. And the other thing they have in there is the Silver Dollar Bar. So it's kind of maybe the rival or the twin to the Cowboy Bar. The Silver Dollar Bar is named the Silver Dollar Bar because inlaid in the bar in there is just a ton of silver dollars. And it's just a really nice, cool place to go in there. Would love to stay here one day, but I'm sure it's quite expensive. Up next is the National Elk Refuge Visitor Center. This visitor center is really well done. It has more statues, and of course, more taxidermy. It tells the story of how this became the National Elk Refuge. Okay, now you may notice that there are no elk behind me here. That's because they're all up in Yellowstone. And what they do is in the winter, they actually migrate down here, which is a little bit lower elevation, for food. And they have done that forever. But once settlers started moving into this valley here in the late 1800s, they started building some fences around and blocking off some of the land and some of the migration patterns for the elk. So it became a bit of a problem when they had a really harsh winter and tons and tons and tons of elk died. Congress actually set aside money and resources to manage this as the National Elk Refuge ever since the early 1900s. So this is a place that you can come in the winter in Jackson to go on these sleigh rides out here on the refuge, and you'll go out among the elk, and that's where they still feed them today. If you visit in the summer though, it's still nice to check out the museum and walk among the wetlands. It's a nice little area with a river, lots of birds, and a nice little view of Jackson. Up next is the Cowboy Coaster at Snow King Resort, located on the edge of town. This fun ride will tow you to the top of Snow King Mountain, where you can then glide down nearly a mile of loops, curves and drops. I love the views of the valley while whizzing down the mountain. Okay, we just got done with the Cowboy coaster. Everything around here is Cowboy.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty speedy actually, and it was just nice to be up there in the mountains and like see the Jackson below. That was pretty cool.
That was one of the more fun mountain coasters. I've been on a lot of curlicues and steep drops, and even the ride up was kind of fun.
Yes, the ride up actually wasn't just like a straight up, you kind of turned and went down a couple little hills, so that was a bonus too. Whenever I drive into Jackson and I see the Dave Hansen rafting statue on top of their building, it gets me so excited because rafting the Snake River is one of my very favorite things to do when I come to Jackson. And if you're planning a trip to Jackson or Grand Teton and want some ideas on how to plan your trip, check out our Grand Teton trip planner. Thank you for joining us on Walking Around Jackson Hole, and until next time, go West, young traveler.